Hey, hey, everybody. What's going on? Look at this old school PlayStation 1. That's right, because it's a vinyl show. So everything is old. So even my video game is the oldest ever. I want to open the show because I know you guys are video game guys because everything I have is just way outdated. This is my favorite video game of all time, Road Rash. It's a PlayStation 1, and this has music from Soundgarden, Hammerbox. It's really actually a fun game. You just hit people. You're on a motorcycle. You just hit people with chains and put, sticks in their spokes. And then you listen to a little rock and roll while you try to race the motorcycle. So that's that. So let's see. Good to see. I'm a little flustered today, guys. I was in a T-Mobile for way too long and almost Karen'd out on the staff. And so I'm trying to get it together. I'm happy to be here with you here on the show, Dustin's Vinyl. So I'm back. I can do this. I'm a professional. I've done this before. So I'm very excited today. Today, I actually wanted to talk about something before we get into all the other stuff. I like to do a little maintenance talk before we, kind of get into the actual albums. This is a turntable pad, a cork turntable pad. And if, a lot of people, you see these online, you see these at different places and you wonder if they really work, and they really do. They help the static problem when you play a record and it's too crackly and stuff, or sometimes they'll even skip a little bit because they're just not firm enough without the pad. So this is a really cool purchase for you vinyl people out there that take it serious and you want the best quality sound. Get a cork vinyl pad for your turntable, and you will thank me later. You'll have the best quality sound of your rock music. And I'd like to do little handyman music tips for you guys. So I want to do the random poll today. The random poll. Let's see what we got. We're staying on the theme of Christmas, and nothing says Christmas more than Johnny Cash. This is a great Christmas album, The Christmas Spirit by Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash has probably about 4 Christmas albums. And this one is amazing. One of my favorite, 2 favorite songs, Christmas songs, is Blue Christmas by Elvis and Blue Christmas by Johnny Cash. And they both do a great job. Johnny has that just crackly, kind of just angelic, raw, crazy voice. And when I say angelic, I mean just, devilly angelic. But this is a great album, and it's got a lot of great tunes on it for Christmas. Little Drummer Boy is amazing on this. And just the idea of, Johnny Cash doing a Christmas album. And he kind of started out in gospel. So a lot of his early music was kind of gospel music and hymns, church hymns and things like that. And then he kind of, transferred into, the stuff that he did, with the rockabilly stuff and the country sound that he has. But this Christmas Spirit album is really good. And, it's a holiday season, and there's a lot of cool Christmas albums. Last week, we talked about the John Denver Muppet Christmas album, and they're actually doing a re-release of that on vinyl. I think this month is, and so get you the Christmas Spirit by Johnny Cash. It's a really good album, and it's just something about Johnny singing these Christmas songs. It's really kind of haunting and great at the same time. So check that out. And, I don't think my Sony thing, y'all appreciated my Sony One joke, but I really went in a little bit. I think I went too fast. I rushed it. Comedy, you can't rush comedy, but PlayStation 1, that's how I roll. So welcome back to the show. I'm very excited. Get you some Johnny Cash, Spirit of Christmas. And I'm going to bring in my wonderful co-host, the rock and roll man himself. He's toured all over the world with so many bands and owned his own record shop and is a great comedian. And Jeffrey Paul in the studio. What's up, buddy?
Hello, man. I love Johnny. Johnny Cash probably has my favorite cover of all time. I love the. Oh yeah. I mean, listen. If that doesn't get you, you don't have a soul.
Yeah, I agree. It's even Trent Reznor was just like, nobody could have done it better. Like he kind of gave the song to him. He was like, this, and that's what happens sometimes. It's like, sometimes artists, they cover a song and then it becomes kind of their song. It's like they do it so well that they encompass it. And then the artist that wrote it is kind of like, I wrote it, but it's kind of your song now. You know, I was on a plane and I was watching the Linda Ronstadt documentary, which was fascinating, and she was one of those people that covered a lot of different artists, and you know, and the artists were always like, "You're so amazing! Like this, you sing this better than I do," and it was fascinating. But yeah, it's like Johnny. You know, some of that late stuff is fantastic because he just kind of really, you know, just covers songs you wouldn't think. I think he did "Won't Back Down" and a couple other really great songs on the American recordings. Yeah, those are great.
But when he took a song, he made it his own, and like Blue Christmas, it's his own spin on it, his own take on it, and you know, he was a guy who connected with what he sang. There was no wasted effort in what he was doing.
Yeah. And it's just, you know, there's nobody like him ever. And there'll never be anybody like him. You know, it's like once in a while you have these artists that, you know, you just, you know, you feel like now you see like, you know, a lot of these new guys and stuff, and a lot of them sound similar to each other. And nobody sounded like Johnny Cash. I mean, nobody had that voice. Nobody had that style of music. Like there's not even, you can't even like label what Johnny Cash is. You know, it's its own thing. It's not rock. It's not country. It's just its own thing. It's Johnny Cash music, you know? And so, yeah, and it's really great. It's kind of depressing sometimes. You know, his voice is so haunting and sad sometimes, but yeah, it'll, so bring in your Christmas with a little bit of sadness, Johnny Cash. Ponder your existence with a little Johnny Cash on Christmas Day. It'll be good for you.
Dustin, are you angry?
Me? I'm always angry.
Get angry.
Get angry? You want me to kick some ass? Are you going to come with T-Mobile with me?
Yeah, we'll go to T-Mobile together. And when you do that, before you go to T-Mobile, I want you to put on today's featured album, because today's featured album is Angry. It's an angry album.
Is it?
Sure.
December. I didn't consider this album angry, but go ahead, talk about it.
No. It is an angry album. You know, comes out at December of 1979. So what is that? If my math is right, 41 years ago? Okay, 41 years ago. It's a double album.
What's the name of the album, Jeff?
The Clash, London Calling.
There you go.
The Clash. Look at the cover. First of all, look at the cover. It's angry. It's an angry cover. Angry.
It's very Who.
Yeah, I think the picture is very Who, but I think the lettering on it and the cover reminds me of that Elvis.
I stole that from Adam.
No, I have that T-shirt. I have that T-shirt. Yeah, I do. Actually, I got that T-shirt one day when I got to Greenwich really early, and I went down to Broadway, and there was a shop that sold T-shirts, and I bought an Elvis shirt with that exact font.
Oh, okay, all right.
But let's talk about this album. This album is kind of like a time capsule. And what I mean by that is look at the history that was going on in the world around this time. You had the crisis in the Middle East. Okay.
Which crisis was that? You're way older. Talk to me.
Okay. So you're coming off of the a few years before you had the Yom Kippur War. And then that thing started escalating after that, where
Yom Kippur War? I don't know that war.
Yom Kippur War. It was you had several attacks between Egypt and Israel. And you had the 6-day war, and the Yom Kippur War Yom Kippur is like a high holy day in Israel, and basically they caught them with their pants down and attacked, and then Israel came in and obliterated. Because remember the year, I purposely said what the year was, 79. This is also a time where the Cold War was still going on. It's going to be another 9 years before the Berlin Wall comes down. Okay. Also, the big story in 1979 is the 3 Mile Island meltdown in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So this album takes on issues. It talks about doomsday. It's an angry album. And in fact, the original title of this album was supposed to be called The Last Testament. And, every song, listen, The Clash is amazing. This is an amazing album. And it's amazing for a couple different reasons. One, what they talk about, how, the lyrics that, that they use to describe the events that are going on are great, and how they juxtapose it with some of these poppy little songs, which is, tunes, which is kind of like reminiscent of the time, because without the Clash, you don't get bands like the Smiths, who also kind of like wrote these.
The Cure was like that
dark,
too.
The Cure, right? These dark issues with catchy tunes. To help us out here a little bit, let's bring in our producer, Adam Holtz, because he's a fan of this album, and maybe he can back me up on some of this stuff as well. Adam, you think you agree? You think this is an angry album?
I think it's.
What are you doing?
There are some angry.
Let's go punch something. Like,
well, I think there's definitely, it gets angrier as it goes on. But you were talking about Elvis before. I'm gonna do this little lo-fi way of showing that. Here we go. Here's the iconic cover.
Okay, so you have it too.
It's gonna be. Okay. There we go. Yeah. And there's Elvis's.
Oh, I love that
first debut. So we got the same.
Oh wow.
We got the same font t-shirt right there. Yep.
Yeah.
So a little homage to the King of Rock.
Yeah, well, they're not really talking about the King of Rock on this album. That's for sure.
Nope.
This is a great. Can I say one thing? This is a great album. I like. It's funny because I hadn't heard much of it in a long, long time. London Calling, obviously, that's a song that a lot of us have heard. But it's like, it's great when you kind of just listen. That's what I like about this show. I get to listen to songs maybe I missed or maybe I didn't appreciate or embrace. And this album, it's funny. The only reason I'm saying angry, because when I listen to it, there's, like you were kind of saying, it's so upbeat in so many ways. I mean, there's a saxophone, there's all kinds of, it feels loungy almost,
Yeah, no, but it's what they're writing about. Like, let's take the song London Calling and the name of the album, London Calling. London Calling is the way the BBC radio would come on the air, in the 1970s. And it was always like these doomsday reports, BBC, London Calling, and these apocalyptic radio reports. And look at some of the lyrics in the song. Like, I think this is one lyric that people kind of get like mixed up, a nuclear, because they're very English. So nuclear era. It's not era, E-R-A. It's era. It's nuclear era, E-R-R-O-R. Okay, it's a nuclear era, but I have no fear because London is drowning and I live by the river. It's like, hey, everything is falling apart, but man, I'm going to be fine. But they're talking, this is direct reference to nuclear meltdown, what was going on at the time, about 6 months earlier in Pennsylvania. And that was the thing that dominated the news stories. But they also kind of make fun of bands that they did this a couple of times in this album, make fun of bands that they kind of refer to as sellouts. Like there's because they were punk, and they say that punk, but don't look to us. But there's that line which I think everyone always remembers with this song was phony Beatlemania has bitten the dust, which that is an absolute rank on these bands that they thought were just kind of like cheap and just kind of like in it, like not for the right reasons. And then I love the way the song
for the right reasons.
Say again?
What band was not in for the right reasons?
Oh, I mean, listen, you talk like the 1970s. So this is also a time of like these pop bands that were in there.
Like the Monkees? Are you talking about the Monkees?
No, the Monkees, but they were dumb. I'm talking about more like bands like the Bay City Rollers.
Okay. It's a good band, though. I don't like it when bands do that, though. Like, these guys are awesome.
You don't like diss tracks?
They're the epitome of rock and roll or punk rock. But this, and they're very talented, like more talented than most punk bands of this genre for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that. Like, just keep your eyes on your own paper. Like, who gives a shit? That's what I hate about hip hop. It's like, shut up, dude. It's like, they come after each other. It's just like, who cares? You're artists. You're artists. Play just, you know what I mean? Like, play your music. Like, don't diss another guy who's trying to do the same thing you're doing. I don't know. I think it ruins the art. I hate it.
You don't like that type of stuff. I know.
I hate it. I didn't like it when Neil Young went after Leonard Skinner. I just don't like that stuff. I don't like it. I just think
and then Skinner went after Neil Young.
Well, because he went after them. Because he went after them, then they went after them.
Right.
But it was a back and it was like shots fired, but not. You know what I mean? Because
exactly, I know what you mean. Yeah. But I also love the way.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I also love the way the song closes out with that Morse code at the end. You know,
yeah,
it's a very cryptic song.
This album is maybe a little too deep for me because I didn't get all of that. I just got some nice kind of just jam stuff. There's like a lot of good music in it. Sometimes I don't listen to the lyrics. I just enjoy the music. I mean, you know, it's like I get into it as much as I can. But it's kind of hard to listen to some of these lyrics because it's such a strong sound that it's hard to kind of pick up on like details of, you know, and the accent, they're this Cockney accent, or whatever. So it's, you know, when they're singing, so it's kind of hard to, and like it's, you know, a lot about the Clash, so you're able to kind of pick it up. And I think that I guess that's why you know, bands put their lyrics on the album so you could, you know, read along with the song.
Oh, I like
and
that.
and kind of like, you know.
Yeah.
Find out what they're saying, because a lot of times we forget. Yeah, we don't know what they're saying.
Yeah. I mean, this album also brings me back to like when I was in high school. I remember listening to, I paid for my high school prom by playing in a Clash and Jam cover band.
Oh, wow.
You know? Yeah, I mean,
we need those pictures immediately. Did you?
I'm trying to find.
Were you sleeveless and stuff? You know, and all that, the jean jacket sleeves.
Never sleeves, but short sleeves, and you know, what are those sweatbands? Those
sweatbands.
Like sweatbands on your wrist. So, but if you don't like, if you just like listen to the music on a song like Hateful. Adam, you know the song Hateful? It's a catchy tune, maybe the catchiest tune on the okay. Written by Strummer and Mick Jones. But the song really talks about what it's like to be a junkie.
Yeah.
You know, it talks about drug culture and drug dealers. And the reason why, 1970s, all bad shit going on. So what were people doing? Taking drugs. It talks about the serious nature of drugs. It's really about heroin addiction. And what inspired them to write this song, it came after the death of Strummer's friend, Sid Vicious. Adam, you like Hateful?
Yeah, I mean it's catchy, and you know, a lot of their songs today, at least when I was listening, I was also looking at the lyrics, and there's just so many lyrics that I just misidentified in all these years of listening to this. And you know, Hateful is just such a catchy but definitely a dark song.
Right. And that's the thing about English rock bands. You know, The Cure is a perfect example. Great, catchy, like a song off of Kiss Kiss was Why Can't I Be You? And it's a dance tune, and they had a 12-inch on it. But when you look at the lyrics and what the song is about, it's about a guy who hates himself and rather be somebody else. It's a dark song with the most, you know, could be played on an AM pop station, you know, and it could be danced to, but the content of the song is completely dark.
That's the beauty of music, you know. It's like it's almost like music is the lube of kind of giving you stuff that's heavy, you know. It's like the Beatles had they were saying all kinds of stuff. There's so many bands that, yeah, they just kind of like, you know, just created this thing through it, you know, like just like you said, the darkness through the light, which would be the music part of it, you know, because it does sound so jazzy. Like there's some moments, it's like saxophone, like, you know, solos and, you know, just really fun, just kind of up, almost ska music to me.
Oh my dude, it's so right about that. Like the song Rudy Can't Fail. Rudy Can't Fail is it's a total reggae sound. Hey, do you guys remember a band called The English Beat or General Public?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. That was Dave Wakeling, and Dave Wakeling had an influence on this song with them. It reminds you of Madness and a dance tune, but no, Rudy Can't Fail, also a dark song. You know, Rudy isn't the guy's name. Rudy. It's not about a guy named Rudy.
Not the guy that played for Notre Dame. It's not that guy, right?
It wasn't about that.
The guy that ran through the tunnel once. Not that guy.
That would have been great. Right, you know,
that's what I call Trump. He's the Rudy.
It's not about Rudy.
I wish it was. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, right. No, Rudy is actually the name of like a Jamaican. who's like kind of like first generation who lives in England. Okay. And the song is really about they were called rude boys, and they were looked down upon,
be careful
in society. And that's what the song is really about. And it talks about how maybe like, these parents kind of look down upon these rude boys, because there's a lyric in there, wrote down, drinking brew for breakfast, like, getting up and drinking beer before breakfast. The song basically challenges the status quo of, it's like, it's kind of like the ultimate teenage rebellion song. Like, you would like this, my generation is different, and this is the way we do it. And Rudy can't fail. It's like, Rudy is being chastised for not like handling responsibility. Like, when you're going to grow up.
Yeah, and I think that's what's great about Clash. The Clash is, they are a youthful band. Like, I think a lot of us that were kind of going through that teenage angst discovered the Clash, and mine was a little bit later, combat rock and stuff. But it was like, it was like a band that was kind of not a lot of people were listening to them. I feel like they had a couple of huge hits, Should I Stay or Should I Go Now, and things like that. But
that was after.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, because I found them later, like Combat Rock and all that stuff. So I feel like, all those hits, were those 2 or 3 hits kind of, introduced us to the Clash. And that's what's great is like, you go backwards and you realize how dark a band is. And that's the thing is sometimes, not to say they did get a little more popular, obviously. And so their sound became a little more kind of, digestible, if you will. And so I feel like this, you could tell they're just doing what they want to do. And then, and then maybe they shaped something that was a little more commercial a little bit later. Not that they were ever hugely commercial, but it was definitely, of the time of punk and metal coming up and stuff like that. So I think they kind of found a place within that, that landscape of the music that was happening of the age.
I think the pop influence in the writing in this band comes from Mick Jones. You heard it on his later work with Big Audio Dynamite.
My favorite. I love Big Audio.
Do you?
It's one of my favorite bands. So great. Yeah.
So
such a fun dance band.
Right. So all poppy and fun and catchy tunes.
Dark lyrics though.
Right. But Joe Strummer and Paul Simon, who's the bass player, they wrote angrier, more guitar, edgier stuff. So the blending of the two gives you the Clash.
Yeah. Hey,
Adam, did you know them? Did you know Big Audio Dynamite?
No, I'm actually got to add them to my list.
Yeah, E equals MC square was their big hit.
Great song.
And it's a really cool song. Adam, do you have any fun facts for us? You got any?
Yeah. So, actually, probably their most known song off of this album, "Train in Vain," is actually not on the album cover.
Oh wow!
It's not even on the album.
Yeah, there we go. It's not even there. Yeah. So that was the last song they recorded, and they already had the artwork done, and it's not even in the lyrics on the inside, but
it's on the album.
Yeah,
do you know where
it's on the album.
Do you guys have the album? Like, do you have the record itself?
What do you
look on the album?
We don't just have sleeves, dude. We're legit.
Well,
we buy sleeves. We just you think I just show you sleeves. I just buy these sleeves. Come on, dude.
Take the record out. It's on the groove. It's on the inside of the groove. Up on the top is where it should
they
say.
Actually list it.
That's not a new. That's a later edition.
Yeah, but it's weird because they don't have it. I don't know if it's showing up there.
You see on the smooth side, on the inner side by the label. That's where it was printed originally. That's where they included it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. What else you got, Adam? What are the cool fun facts?
Let's see. All right. So, Lost in the Supermarket. Joe Strummer originally started writing it on the back of a guitar string package, which was you figure it's an anti-consumerist song too. So there's
such a catchy song too.
That is one of my favorites on the album.
Yeah, it really is great.
But again,
can you maybe hit our listeners if they have a favorite Clash song?
Yeah, see if anybody said anything in there.
Is there anybody in there? Is there anybody out there?
We do. We actually have a question from the Johnny Cash album. Just asking from Jay Deiselot was asking, what label is that one on?
This.
Oh, good question.
I believe it's Columbia.
All right. Let's see.
It was as after the Sun Record stuff.
What year was that released?
This was, let's see, I can't find it. Oh, that's so hard. You guys keep talking.
Sometime 60. I'm going to say sometimes 60s.
Yeah, probably like 68.
Yeah.
I can't find it.
But Lost in the Supermarket, it's so cool that it is, again, really super poppy tune. And it's a commentary on, like Adam said, consumerism, being empty. Like the lyric, I came in for a special offer, a guaranteed personality, it's also, the other lyric, I can no longer shop happily, is really the whole song is a metaphor for like suburban life and growing up in the suburbs and having an identity crisis, and again, a dark topic with an unbelievably catchy song. It's such a great song. So is Train in Vain, by the way.
Yeah, and the thing is about the Clash, it's like I've had this conversation with a lot of people about. I feel like, there's a lot of punk bands. Like I opened for Rancid, and I've worked in some of these like festivals and stuff. Yeah, worked in some of these festivals. I've been around a lot of punk bands.
Love Rancid,
and they're a good band, and there's a lot of like 70s punk that
Clash
just changed everything. But I also feel a lot of these guys can't play their instruments very well. And I feel like, it's kind of the thing is with punk, it was more rock the establishment. Whereas I felt like heavy metal or those guys were a little more trained with their instruments, but like some of those guys are classically trained almost, a lot of them are, and, it's like Eddie Van Halen and CC DeVille. I mean, they're Steve Vai. I mean, they can play anything, Mozart, whatever, And so, but I feel the Clash they're very talented musically. And I feel like, it's not just about the statement of, the time that they're in and all of that, which it is in a sense, but they're just good musicians. And it's nice to know that there's a punk band that you can like mention, because, the Sex Pistols and it's good music. It's great. It gets you revved up, but it's nothing like this. This is complex music for, a band that's kind of, the genre of punk. It just, I feel like they're the greatest of all the punk bands just because of that. I feel like their versatility is amazing because you go from album to album. They just keep doing different kinds of stuff. And it's really even the later stuff when they were older and stuff at Sirius XM, they were recording just acoustic stuff, all kind they really kept taking chances and doing kind of different kind of music. So
that's very true. That's very, very true. In fact, most punk bands are 3-4 chord power chord type of song, right?
I love Green Day, but they're not doing this,
right? But the Ramones were considered the punk band,
they're not doing
all those bands that came out of CBGBs, but the Clash, like when you said you heard saxophone, you heard piano, you heard reggae, you heard ska, you heard horns, the music was more complex, but yet they still had a really hard punk edge to them. Like a song that you would think would have been like because of the title, you thought would have been more of a social commentary, but it wasn't. Was Guns of Brixton? That was a song I also love off this album. It's also the song that was written and sung by the bass player, and a heavy reggae influence. But really, it's just about gangsters from a movie. The Guns of Brixton, that's all it really is. It's not. He's not making any commentary about that. But again, the song itself has a heavy edge to it, and it's a song that always stood out. I've listened to this band and this album for 40 years, and it'll always be part of my life. I loved this band, and I love this album so much.
Yeah, I got it this week. But But the Clash has always kind of been part of, my crew. Like high school, we were all kind of weird, punky, new wavy. And yeah, so, and that's the thing. Bands like this kind of, like I said before, we kind of identified with it,
They would have been perfect. They would have been perfect if you would have teamed them up with Guy Ritchie, who makes those type of movies. Because there's another song on the album that also has a Hollywood influence on it. Is the song "The Right Profile," and that's the song that everyone misidentifies as the Montgomery Clift song, and. Right, it's Montgomery Clift, honey, and when he's saying that, basically, that's really a song about Montgomery Clift got into a horrific accident. Okay, I don't know if you remember who Montgomery Clift was, and he was like this Hollywood guy in the 50s who was a closeted homosexual, but had so lived a very dark life. He gets into this accident, and the song is about the perspective of people driving by, going, "Holy shit, it's Montgomery Clift." That's what the song is about. Montgomery
Thank God there was no cell phones back then.
Oh,
yeah. It would have been viral. Well, that's the thing. This band has obviously a sense of humor, and I think that's important in music. I think it makes it. I don't know. I always enjoy a band that can write, kind of a tongue-in-cheek lyric, and I think there's definitely, there's some of that in here. So the later stuff, I think, was a little more cheeky. I think this is obviously a little more serious album.
Yeah, like Rockin' the Casbah.
Yeah, it's a little more fun, a little lighter, if you will.
Yeah. Let's see. What
Adam, you got anybody? We got any?
Yeah. We got some favorites up here. We got Ori No Glittery is saying, "Should I stay or should I go?" Is their favorite.
Great song. I did a parody of it in high school called "Should I Shave or Should I Grow Now?" If I grow, there will be double. If I don't, there will be stubble. That was my big parody.
I think you missed out in your calling there.
I should have sold it to Weird Al.
I know you for how many years? I never heard that before.
Oh, don't just break it out. That's something I did when I was like
that should be
17. Come on, dude. I've grown a little bit comedically.
So we got Offlu though is saying that Spanish Bombs is in my playlist forever. Another great song.
Oh my God, yeah, that's another great song. Yeah, listen. It's a double album. We're not going to get to every single song here, but Spanish Bombs is something I think there are 19 songs on the album. There are probably 10, 11 of them that just like stay in my mind constantly. And that's definitely one of them. That's a great choice there. Spanish Bombs.
And it says Spanish Bombs is written about a real life incident.
And what was that?
Let's see. It says, I can just read it here. Strummer was driving home late one night from the studio when he heard a report about a hotel on the Costa Bravo in Spain getting bombed by Basque terrorists.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't realize how political they were, I think it's like when you go back and you kind of, and Jeff, you have all that good information. I just thought they were a cool rock band, punk band, but, I really didn't know they were really kind of tapping into all this stuff.
Yeah, and I think what also made them kind of punky, if you look at a song like, I don't know if anyone put this in the comments there, Adam, but Death or Glory, which also, man, sounds a lot like Rancid. Rancid definitely, they definitely stole off of, or I don't want to say stole. They were heavily influenced by the Clash.
They stole. They definitely stole.
Yeah.
They're kind of like the Greta Van Fleet of the Clash.
All them new bands steal. You know that. All the comedians steal. All the bands steal. They all rip everybody off. That's what it is. Nobody's original anymore.
I mean, I think this is a song I think you would like, Death or Glory, because it's about not conforming to authority,
Yeah, I have a problem with that.
Yeah, not selling out to the man.
Yeah, that's I wish I could sell out. It's really a default. If I really want to sell out, I just can't pull it off. Because the things that I like, people aren't really into, like vinyl. Like there's a very small market. So it's like everything that I'm passionate about seems to be a small market. So
you're a niche guy.
I'm a niche guy. Yeah.
You're a niche guy.
I just I'm not for everybody, but you can appreciate me once in a while.
Adam, do you know this song?
What song?
Death of Glory.
Death of Glory. Yeah.
It's again really cool song. The song itself started as a piano ballad. And then Strummer changed it to more of a catchy, almost like an angry song because of what it's about. I mean, I don't know how you can have a piano ballad with the lyric, "He who fucks nuns will later join the church."
Oh, yeah. Pretty solid line. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But talk about the ultimate sellout, right?
That's in AA, they always say if you hang around in a barbershop long enough, you'll get a haircut. So I think that's
it's a good line too.
Very similar.
But again, I think this album is complex. I think it's extremely versatile. I think sometimes the music itself don't match up with the lyrics, which makes it a complex album. And I think that's what made it like you listen to it. Like I listened to it all week, and this album hasn't aged. You could release this album today, and you just say, wow, it's still just as good as when it was released 41 years ago.
Yeah, it's amazing when something's that old. Last week it was, Sabbath, which is 50 years old. This is 40 years old. Like, it's unbelievable that when music like this holds up, because I feel, it's just, there's so much music that is kind of like, it kind of comes and goes so quick. And this kind of stuff just really kind of, lasts forever. And it's like, and you listen to it and it doesn't sound dated. That's the thing. Sabbath doesn't sound dated. This doesn't sound dated. Like it just, and that's the key too, I think, to just good music. Big Audio Dynamite sounds a little dated. That's very, very 80s. It's cool music and it's fun and it's different. And it was definitely different of its time, especially because people weren't doing a lot of the fusions that they do now, like Linkin Park and all that. So like it was this, to me, that kind of stuff was a little experimentation of like keyboards and reggae music and different things. So I feel like, that's kind of ahead of its time with that. So, but it's still like we talked before, the 80s kind of, really kind of put a stamp on a lot of music that's kind of hard to kind of get away from. It's like when you hear it, you're like, it feels 80s.
And just to give you an idea of how big this album was and what it propelled them to, before this album had come out, they had a very legendary run at Bond International, which was a club in Manhattan, in Times Square. I think they played like 12 nights at Bond. Of course, they sold out everything. After this album came out, and then Combat Rock after, they're playing Shea Stadium.
Wow.
Yeah, so they really.
I feel like it was short lived though. It
was because Strummer dies early.
I feel like the band was very short lived. I feel like there was a moment where they were very popular, and then I think the 80s came, and then it just kind of like some bands kind of survived that era, but I guess they kind of people just were into different kinds of music. I think probably glam metal, hair metal probably ruined all of it. Just whereas like Nirvana and all those bands had to bring people back to good music. I feel, like that happens sometimes. We get caught up in the cheese, and then you have to kind of, go back to it.
Yeah, the Clash was on a collision course to not be like a band that would have stayed together forever. Even if Joe Strummer had lived a longer life, I don't know if they would have ever had a reunion or not. Mick Jones and Joe Strummer have really grown apart so much as songwriters. And you saw what Mick Jones evolved into, and then when Strummer did his solo stuff was more along the lines of early Clash, or Give 'Em Rope, things like
you mean this album? I don't have the album.
Like songs like Tommy Gun.
I just have the cover because I'm not really a vinyl collector. Yeah, this is a cool album. I got this in San Antonio, a cool little record store, and this is a great one. I prefer this one actually. This is kind of more my jam. I like this music. I love London Calling. I do, but I just really dig this album. Kind of has
that's a good, again, they just kept rising up. Yeah, they just kept rising. Look at that. Yeah,
birds, birds eating the dead, little good, bad, and the ugly kind of thing going on. Get a rope. We got any questions out there? Anybody?
Let's see. We got Knowing Indanira says they're a good band to listen to if you need some energy. They keep me awake for a lot of late night study sessions.
Nice.
How old is that? The person that wrote that down?
Don't be so personal. What are you going to stalk her?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. No, I love it. Like when someone who like, it sounds like there's someone who may be in college, that someone who's in college discovered this music and they're inspired by it.
They are. The kids awesome. Like Clash. The kids like the good stuff. Yeah. It's like people, that's one thing about this hipster generation or the millennials, a lot of them do go back and, kind of find this music. And some of them are fortunate enough to have, cool parents that listen to good music. And then that helps a lot.
Like me?
Like you. Yeah. Your kid.
It's cool. Is that
your kid listen to good music? Your kid will, like, he's in the Karate Kid soundtrack, right? The new Cobra Kai or something.
Oh, he isn't now, but yeah. I think that type of stuff kind of started to change because when he left for college, he's a sophomore in college now. When he left, he was really into rap and all that stuff. He comes home and now he's into Nirvana and Bowie, and he loves My Chemical Romance. Great. And you know what? Yeah, that is like the happiest thing that could make me.
It's interesting because it's like when my family had amazing music taste. My father was all into a lot of Texas blues and early ZZ Top and Stevie Ray Vaughan and like kind of the Muddy Waters and all that kind of stuff. And my mom was in like Zeppelin, Blood, Sweat and Tears, and it was like I had all this amazing music coming up, but when I got to high school, it was like, whatever was going to get me the girl, Young MC, just stand there, bust a move. Hey, you want it. You got it. She said, hello, dressed in yellow. It was all that shit. I actually have the 45 behind me, but Dead or Alive, which you saw the patch. It was all about, dance music and all that stuff.
I can't not see it anymore.
Good. You should see it. I am a pirate by spirit, but it's, but that's the thing is like, I got caught up in crappy music. I even owned a Milli Vanilli CD at some point in my life. And then, as I...
Of course he did.
Oh, shut up. Don't act like you probably liked them when they first came out. We all did.
Yeah.
We all did.
Of course I did.
It was fun music. And that's the thing, too.
You said it first, so I got to make that comment.
But there's different kinds of music where there's music that, you're trying to get laid with, so, and I think, like just whatever's going to get you the girl, whatever dance music and all that stuff. And then when you, become of yourself, then you kind of, and that's what I was able to do. I got to kind of start collecting and start kind of appreciating the music that maybe I would have missed in my high school years. And I had a kid, a friend of mine in high school. We were all into this cheesy dance music and stuff, and he was into the Beatles, and we thought he was a weirdo. And he's like, "How do you like the Beatles?" And so he introduced me to kind of like a different, like Lou Reed and Iggy Pop and all that stuff. So when I was going through this cheese phase, I had somebody, and that's what's important. I think, it's like as people that have good taste in music, I think it's our duty to pass the torch on to other people and introduce them to good music, because a lot of people, they just don't know. Like now it's like, if all you know is Harry Styles, that's all you know. He's good. Yeah. Okay. But there's so much other great stuff too. And I think it's like, sometimes people they just narrow in on whatever's in front of them. And that's what was the problem with MTV. It was just whatever was in front of us was what we liked. And anything outside of that, you didn't even think about. So I don't know. That's just my passion thing where I think we need to pass the torch. So good for you getting your son into better music. Cause I like hip hop, but sometimes you got to spice it up a little.
Man, you opened up a whole can of worms there. I think
that's what MTV, I do.
Yeah.
I'm a worm opener.
You're a worm opener.
Anybody else? What out there?
We have eye patches.
It's a lot of Jeff and Dustin. What else we got out there?
So that person's 26 years old.
Oh, 26.
Okay.
Okay.
That's cool. Good for them for being into the class.
26. Very cool.
They also pointed out that Cobra Kai is awesome, and the new trailer dropped today, and the new trailer is really good too. It looks really epic.
We're a month away, my friends.
Right. Okay. Let's talk about Cobra Kai for a minute.
I can't wait.
I like the show, but one thing, what's funny about the show though, is by watching it, I've realized that I just hate Daniel LaRusso. Like I never realized how annoying he was until this series came out. And like, it was all his fault. Like he brought all this on himself.
Oh yeah.
And he's so annoying. I can't take it. So I'm team Johnny Lawrence all the way. And it's like, it's like every time he's like, thank you, Bunjay. I'm like, shut up. You're still doing that. You know what I mean? I don't know. It just made me really hate Daniel LaRusso, and I'm just rooting for Johnny all the way.
Did you watch the new trailer?
I didn't. Is it good?
Ooh, it's good, but there's they reveal a lot.
Oh yeah. In a trailer? I hate when they do that. Like, why do they do that? Like, I won't watch trailers. Like, I turn them off when it's a movie I want to watch. Like, I don't know how you are about trailers, but I always turn them off. Like, if it's on my TV or something.
Trailers gotten brutal. They ruin the whole movie now.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
Totally,
I want to be
totally
surprised.
I think cousin, what's his name? Nephew is in this one. They go back to Okinawa.
Oh yeah, Chosen, and
yeah.
Is Ali coming back this season?
Oh come on! You saw the end of season 2?
Oh, that's gonna be exciting. That's the biggest crush I've ever had in my life. That's the biggest crush I ever had in my life. I mean, in that sweater and the trampoline. I mean, she's amazing. Not to disrespect any 26-year-olds out there, but she does look pretty good in Karate Kid.
She looks good now, dude. She really held up.
She aged well.
Yeah.
But she's coming back, right? That's good. And then it's going to be this love triangle. That's going to be exciting.
Is
she in the trailer? Just tell me.
No, she's not in it.
Okay. No, I think they're going to reveal that kind of like you knew that John Kreese was going to come back, but they, and everyone knew, but they just waited for the right moment.
How great does that guy look?
He's in his 70s.
He's like 73 years old. He looks amazing. You're talking about the comeback of the year. Like he's got commercials now. Like I really root for that guy. He looks great.
He's got a career again.
It looked like he looks the same. I mean, he's had a little work done, but he looks the same. Like
Adam, do you remember on Who's Your Band?
He's funny too.
He is. On Who's Your Band, we had Scott Kanan on.
Kanan, yeah.
Yeah. And cool. he kind of gave us a little insight. Like he's like, you haven't seen the last of Mike Barnes. And
Terry Silver.
And Terry Silver is coming back too. So you're going to see all 3 movies incorporated in the next 2 seasons.
Oh, wow. All right. What about Hilary Swank? Think she'll come in?
No, she don't count.
Wasn't she in Karate? Which season 3, right? Or 4? 4.
Well, they did 2 seasons, and there's going to be season 3 that's coming out.
No. She was in the fourth.
Movies.
The fourth.
She was in the 4th.
She's in the 4th movie.
Yeah, but there's no Daniel, so it doesn't count. It's 3 movies.
It does count. It's better because of no Daniel.
No. Listen, it's not.
I hope Daniel LaRusso. I hope he crashes in one of his cars that he's trying to sell.
Really hate
I really hope that's a plot line.
Don't you think maybe his daughter is more of the antagonist in the series?
His daughter's way cooler than him. That's for sure.
His daughter's a pain in the ass. No,
not a fan of that other kid either. The Johnny's son either.
Robbie.
It's like,
you don't like Robbie?
It's like, I don't know, man. It's like
you're off Team Miguel.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Robbie gets his ass kicked in the trailer.
Cool. He's fun.
Does he?
Yeah.
Who's he fighting?
In Juvie. They don't show who he's fighting though.
Oh, okay. Well, he gets arrested for that fight?
Yeah.
That fight that took 15 minutes and not one teacher came, or the one teacher that came said, I don't get paid enough, because that would happen in real life. You are really suspending a lot of reality.
In our high school, they let us fight. There was teachers that let us fight. They'd like work it out.
That was West Side Story fighting. That was so choreographed.
What in the TV show?
Oh yeah. I want them going into a cage.
Yeah, well, they might. We
want realism.
Well, let's get back to the music of that show. I think it's a lot of fun, 80s metal bands, and I love the band Rat. Like that was one of my cheesy hair metal bands. Round and round comes around. Go. That's like one of my favorite songs. When I was a kid, like just kind of like that I played over and over and over and over. And so, yeah, it's cool, and I like the idea of that too, where it's like he's, kind of getting the kid into that kind of music. And that's a funny element, kind of what I was talking about, where you just kind of, someone wouldn't even know of the music unless you kind of pass the torch. So it is kind of fun. That scene was really great. And I think the first season where he's just kind of like, yeah, I downloaded it on my phone and he's like, he's like into Guns N' Roses and he's like, I'm so proud of you. He's like welling up because it's not some just cheesy
favorite
pop
shirt
band
that he wears. I love the shirts he wears, but do you see he's wearing a zebra shirt? And it's not even from the first Zebra
Johnny?
album. It's from the second Zebra album.
Yeah. I love Zebra. Zebra's a good band. Yeah.
And I used to go see them when they were a cover band playing here in Staten Island.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, so I loved this band. And that he was wearing that shirt, that was so freaking 80s and so period.
Well, you're so 80s, Jeff. Like you were it seems like you had some glory days in the 80s. That was a big part of your time. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you killed it. You know what I mean? Like you were crushing the 80s, right?
80s for me was, yes, that was my heyday. Think of me like, okay. And, it still had long hair, but I was 185. I was benching 300, like lifting, like working out, curling 90s.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
Like bodybuilder? Did you compete? What's going on?
No, nothing like that. Just looked good. Like was big and ripped, okay, that's good.
Comedy show, Jeff. let me do comedy.
Okay, then put on an eye patch and sing.
My muscle is comedy. It's not. I'm not trying to be cool.
You don't look. Let me tell you something. For a 70-year-old guy, you don't look bad. You look fine.
70. Yeah. Shut up. You're definitely the oldest one here. Don't turn into a roast. We'll all get really mean and we'll end up crying.
I'm 27 years old. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you are. What kind of drugs did you take?
The drugs in the 80s that we took was mescaline.
Mescaline. I took that once, and I talked about it on a podcast. I was I'll tell the story real quick. So I was at, and you'll appreciate it. So I was at a comedy festival in Calgary, and it was a bunch of us from New York, buddies of mine, and we went out to Calgary. And I don't remember much of the evening, but I do remember taking some mescaline and watching the Tyson fight I think it might have been the Holyfield Tyson fight, or was there a fight after that? They let him fight after that.
I think he fought Holyfield again, didn't he?
Okay, it must have been the second time. I don't know which one was the biting one, but anyway,
the first one.
It was the first one. Okay, so it might have been the second one.
It was the second one. You're right.
It was the second one. And so anyway, I just remember being in this thing, and there was all these rich people, and then they had like 6 strippers that were just kind of just randomly working the room, and then everybody was just shooting back all this booze, and then then I just woke up with like bloody elbows, and no shirt on, and no shoes, and leather pants in the winter of Canada, in Calgary, Canada, just walking the streets with like no shirt on and no shoes, and I had to buy a dirty sweatshirt off a cab driver, and so yeah, mescaline's it's a hell of a drug, kids.
A hell of a drug.
Get you some. I did want to touch in on historic moments. Yesterday was the anniversary of the death of John Lennon, who is, a big part of everything that we listen to. It's such a trailblazer in music. I don't have any solo stuff. I have one of my prized possessions. So I have the Butcher album signed, and this is a pretty cool album, but he's kind of one of those musicians that you hear, Imagine or something, and it just cuts through you. He's such a great, part of the music history. It's just like a big part of my discovery too. Just I remember kind of listening to those, later Beatles songs, which I really love, the late Beatles stuff, and then some of John Lennon's solo stuff. But yeah, just such a tragedy that he had to go like that, and made a huge impact though. So do
you remember the summer that before he died, do you remember he had I think the #1 album in the country with Double Fantasy?
Oh, was it?
Yeah, and it came out in 1980, and he dies, I guess, 1980 as well, like December 1980.
I think a horrible thing, and one thing that's horrible about it is you'll know his name. What was the guy's name that shot him?
Mark David Chapman.
Mark David Chapman, and he had a copy of Catcher in the Rye, which is my favorite book. And then I hate that like it's associated with that because I remember I've had it in my pocket, and then I realized it's like that's not a good look, you know. You have that book sticking out of your pocket. It's like, what's this guy gonna do? All right, Adam, what do you got for us? What's coming out?
All right, let's see. We got we start with some Christmas albums. You already talked about John Denver and the Muppets that's getting reissued, A Christmas Together from the 1979 Christmas TV special.
So good.
And we got Home Alone is being, I guess, re-released on Mondo Music. So it's the John Williams music. It's
the soundtrack to Home Alone. Wow.
The Home Alone, yeah. Yeah, so it's good. 2 LPs. It's got, it's got John Williams' score on it, and it's also got White Christmas, Please Come Home for Christmas. Have yourself a merry little Christmas, and we wish you a Merry Christmas. And I just watched it the other day for the first time in a while, and Kevin McAllister is really sadistic.
Yeah,
it's pretty violent.
it's a violent movie, and also it's like he carried that movie. What was he, 9? Like, yeah. He carried that whole movie. Like that kid should have got an Oscar. Like it's always some stupid kid that sees dead people. That guy carried the whole movie without us. You know, it's like, and we had a very small supporting cast. I mean, Pesci and them were hilarious, but it was like, it was mostly him. Like he carried
him
that
and
whole
Daniel
film.
Stern.
Yeah. What's up?
My son, that was like the first Christmas movie that me and my son really like bonded to and got into. And he was obsessed by Kevin McAllister. He once got in trouble. He was maybe in kindergarten and he called somebody a horse's ass. like he wanted to be called Kevin. He wanted to be called Kevin. He loved that movie. That is still one of my all-time favorite movies. Definitely my favorite Christmas movie.
That's a great Christmas movie. Christmas Vacation was on the other night, and that still holds up. That's just
so great.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Hilarious. And,
how funny is Randy Quaid in that?
Yeah, that was before he, got all cuckoo.
But just like little subtle things, like he's wearing
porn and politics.
He's wearing the white sweater with the black fake dickie underneath.
Shitters, fool. And my favorite, squirrel. My family, we love that movie so much. We put a stuffed squirrel in our Christmas tree every year. Like it was like so part of the decoration was the squirrel. And then we'd always yell out squirrel, like it's bring in Christmas. That's how much we love that movie. This was fun, guys. Thank you, everybody that was participating, and we really appreciate that. We want you to, come in with us, man. This is really about, I want you to feel like we're just all hanging out and talking music, and, it's kind of what we love, and we hope that you love it as well. And so, we'll see you next week. I'm very excited to see you guys again. This was fun, and get you some Clash. London Calling. I just have this. I don't have the record, but get this. It's great. I get that ring light keeps messing up my glare, but get this album. It's a great album. And thank you, Jeff. You did a great job. And thank you, Adam. Thank you, Jay. And thank you guys over at Twitch. And I'm going to get back to my PlayStation 1. Yeah.